Alright guys, today we're going to be making a new medical video. That's right, my medical videos are back. Now in today's medical video, we're going to be talking about rabies. Now rabies is something that a lot of people have actually made a movie on. One of the movies is called Blood. And there's other type of movies out there that have made movies based on the disease known as rabies. A lot of people have made videos talking about the symptoms. Many people have came down with rabies. Unfortunately, many have not made it with rabies. And rabies is something to not joke around about because rabies is a very, very serious topic. It's very sad for the family to see how their child went from acting like a normal being to a absolute crazy, like wanting to just gouge someone's eyes out. Like, it's that bad. When you have rabies, your body is just fighting itself technically. Like, you're not yourself. You're basically like a wild animal is. Think about yourself as the most dangerous dog in the world. That's kind of like how you are with rabies, alright? You are very, very vicious with rabies. Like, you literally don't like anybody around you. You start barking like a dog. And I know a lot of people take that as like a meme and stuff, but it's not. When it comes to rabies, it's very sad because when you have rabies and show symptoms, that's when something bad's about to happen. And we're going to go over everything you need to know about rabies to be prepared about what you need to know. What is it? A viral disease. Okay, let's read it. You need to be able to see, so I'm going to move you down here. A viral disease which spreads by the saliva of infected animals and leads to brain inflammation. So if a dog bites you, or any of the animals that can cause it bites you, scratches you, whatever, and if that type of bacteria, it's the infected animal that does any of that to you, the saliva of that animal gets into that crack of skin or in that bite, it will basically lead to you into your bloodstream and basically cause you to have rabies as well as the animal that did it to you. So that means you'll be infected with rabies. Now, dogs and all these other animals, dogs can get vaccines. Humans can't get vaccines. So for dogs, yes, dogs can get vaccines. Humans can't. Of course, every 10 years, we get a tetanus shot for humans so we don't get tetanus. But we haven't came up with a rabies vaccine for humans yet. Only for dogs and animals that can actually handle the vaccine. So if your dog will have to get the rabies vaccine, which will make it harder for the dog to actually end up getting rabies. But that doesn't always prevent it from getting it. It might prevent it, but it doesn't mean it won't cause it to never get it. Like, that's kind of like how the flu is. When you get the flu vaccine, you're not promised to never get it that year. You can get it, but not as bad. So like rabies, you can get not as bad, but it will still always be 100% virtually fatal. What are the phases? We have the prodromal phase. As mentioned before, rabies can go unnoticed for an extended period of time, and an unexplained change of behavior in an animal is typically the first sign of rabies, so pet owners be aware of these changes. Rabid animals will typically lose their appetite, which means they don't really want to eat, they don't have the desire to eat, and when they see food, they're not really in the mood, and when they should be eating, they're not. Most often they will develop a fever, so they may also, that doesn't mean they always will, but they may also develop a fever, most likely literally could be very, very high. It could be hyperthermia. It would be develop a fever, which could basically be because the body is having an infection. Chew at the site of the bite, so basically the dog will basically bite, or any animal will basically bite at the side of the bite, will basically chew at the side of the bite, may even sound different. These early symptoms typically last 2 to 3 days before other signs start to surface. Phase 2 is the furious phase. The furious phase of rabies, commonly referred to as a mad dog syndrome, typically lasts 2 to 4 days, but some animals skip this phase altogether. However, those animals that do experience the furious phase will lash out and become very aggressive. So kind of like how the old Yeller was and much more. The old Yeller basically came down with rabies, and he, in the movie, basically, he was becoming very, very vicious. So if you see an animal that has foam coming out of the mouth, or if you see a dog or any animal having foam that can contain or can carry rabies, can get rabies, has foam coming out their mouth, they're growling at you, and then they start to just really bark and lash out at you, try to bite you. They will basically could kill you because they could carry rabies. Most likely they will. Other signs of this include constant growling, disorientation, trembling, seizures, abnormal cravings. Caged rabid animals have been also said to try and chew through the wire, while others may attempt to attack any moving object. So they will be so vicious that even if they see like anything move, they will try to attack it, and they will even try to bite the animal. Phase 3 is the paralytic phase. This last phase of rabies is when the virus takes over the animal's body. This phase lasts 2 to 4 days, at this time the animal shows signs of paralysis. You may notice that your animal appears to be choking or is unable to swallow. The paralysis starts at the jaw, throat, and chewing muscles and quickly spreads to other parts of the body. It can be prevented, like I said, in dogs with vaccines, but not in humans. So it can be prevented in dogs, but not in humans yet. Of course, there's a pretty good prevention, which is actually known as not being by animals that might contain it. So if you think an animal you're around might have rabies, don't just go up to it. You need to run away, because that's probably the best you can do. Now, running away from any type of dog with or without rabies, you'll basically be seeing that it might get a little bit hard for you to do, because once the animal sees you running, it can and will chase you. And with rabies, that's something you don't want, because that animal could bite you and could do way worse damage than what you ever thought was imagined to be able. Because not only is a dog going to chase you when it's mad, a dog with rabies on top of its madness with rabies, yeah, it's going to do some damage to you, more than what it would without rabies. You probably won't even survive 1 day with rabies if the dog is that bad off. Like, rabies is terribly bad. So we're going to split this into 2 parts. This is part 1. This is basically just about the dogs and all the animals. Part 2 will be about the humans. So peace out, everybody.